Welcome back, YouTube, for another exciting installment of a middle-aged man shaking an iPhone and looking at guns all on a table. This video is going to be for those who are considering buying a CZ, whether they should go with the SP01, which is very popular in the competitive shooting scene, as you can see on the top there, or the 75 variant, and just kind of what the differences are between those. So jumping right in the frames, obviously the frames, the biggest difference right off the bat is going to be the full-length dust cover on the SP01 versus the short dust cover on the 75. This adds about 5 to 6 ounces of weight to this frame versus this frame. So this gun's going to be lighter in transition. You can swing it around faster. This gun with these grips on weighs in right at about 2 pounds, without 2 pounds 1 ounce without a magazine. And this gun is about 6 ounces heavier than that. The next thing is you've got a high tang grip or an upswept tang on your grip there. That one points up at the ceiling, whereas this one points off to the side or down at the floor. You can, and it is noticeable, you do feel it when you grip this gun. It feels more comfortable. You get higher on it, it's easier to hit the safety. This grip feels better in the hand to me than that grip does. They should just update all of the 75s to have that feature. The next is the, we talked about the weight, and there's a magazine bevel in the mag well. You can see a slight bevel inside the mag well. It's really not that generous. It's better than no bevel on the 75 model, but that's a feature exclusive to the SP01. Also, we've got some front and back strap, I guess lines to add for traction. I've got it covered up with skateboard tape, but you can see kind of some half-hearted attempt at checkering, and you can see the same thing on the front of the frame there. Whereas on the front strap of my 75, it's nice and smooth and nice and smooth with good grips, and these are great grips. These are VZ Diamondbacks. I don't really feel that I'm missing anything without that checkering, although I'd love it if it came there. So then going in the next area that's different is the trigger. So that's a standard CZ75 trigger. If it's all chrome and there is no set screw, you know it's a CZ75 trigger. SP01 has a black trigger generally. This is a Shadow Custom, so it's got the 85 combat trigger, which is chrome with a set screw to tune the over travel. So that's the difference. Some people prefer one or the other, so you'll have to get it in your hand to tell which way you go with that. Magazines. SP01, the base model, comes with two 18-round magazines. You see how long that mag body it is, goes straight down into the base pad there. Versus this magazine has base pad on it, but it's a short mag body. So if I hold them both next to each other, you can see that the mag body is much longer on the 18 round versus the 16 round, which makes it stick out of the gun further. The barrels, the CZ75 barrel is noticeably thinner than the SP01. That's the CZ75 on the right and the SP01 on the left. So the wall is thicker on the SP01, which adds about 1/2 ounce of weight to that barrel. They have the same number of locking lugs on top of the barrel, but that's a difference there. You've got the slide releases extended on the SP01, so that's an extended slide stop versus a traditional 75 slide stop. I really don't know the best way to show these to you, but there you go. You can see that this one you can reach without breaking your grip down too bad. That one you cannot. So that is a nice feature on the SP01. You can buy those guys for this guy for about 35 bucks. There's several places you can get them online. The next is the Recoil Guides. The front of the slide on the SP01 is got a hole for a full-length guide rod. This Shadow Custom comes with a stainless steel full-length guide rod, which I believe is upgrade on the Shadow over. If you look at the guide rod for here, it's a short polymer deal. Obviously, this is going to save a little bit of weight for you. It's going to function the same. I don't know that anybody can tell the difference. But that's going to add a little bit of weight to the front of the gun. Some people will say that that combats muzzle climb. I can't tell the difference personally. The safeties on SP01s are going to be ambi. This is a shadow, so it's got the single action safeties there. They're a little bit bigger, stick out further. But if you were to have just the regular manual safety model, they would look about like that, but there would be a corresponding one on the right side of the frame. So they both have nice positive engagement. Then we get into the slides. So the slide for the 75 is about an ounce lighter than the slide for the SP01, which is interesting because it's all from that taper cut you see right there. That knocks off about an ounce difference. So there's less reciprocating mass on this slide. Also, there's a thinner barrel that goes in the front there, so it's going to add a little bit of weight here of extra material. However, it's a net decrease in weight because the barrel itself, if you remember, is a little bit lighter. However, the SP01, we'll just go into what's different about it. It does not have the taper. You can see there it extends all the way to the end. It's got forward cocking serrations, which is good for IP6 shooters who have a lot of unloaded chamber starts, so if they need to chamber around. The rear cocking serrations are a little bit different. These are kind of straight up and down, and they're kind of sunk into the frame versus these kind of forward swept deals that are kind of more 1911-y. And then the sights are going to be different. The SP01s are going to come stock with 3-dot night sights. So the shadow models come with the competition sights you see here. Since I've got my 75 set up for competition, I've installed competition sights from Cajun Gunworks made by Dawson Precision. So they're pretty similar in how they look there. It's a little bit narrower front sight. The grips, you could get these lovely plastic grips with your 75, whereas the SP01s are going to come with actually really nice rubber grips that you really don't have to change unless you want to, or you want to make the gun lighter because they're kind of heavy. And that's about it. The guns recoil a little bit differently. In theory, this is going to hold the muzzle climb down because the front of the gun's heavier for these two reasons. That barrel's heavier. But I'm here to tell you, using the same ammunition shot back to back, I think this actually recoils a little bit lighter. Were I to do it all over again, I probably would go for a 75 shadow line or a 75 shadow if money were not an object, and I just were to get the gun that I think suits best. I like the lighter frame. It flies out of the holster a little faster for me, and I can swing it around in transition. It's not as difficult to stop. You don't ever swing the targets. And I really don't notice anything being lost in terms of recoil. Either one of these guns is fine. I really love the way these feel in the hand as far as the high Tang grip you can get on those guys. They're fantastic. These things just feel like they're welded to your hand. And as a result, you don't get any trigger move or any frame movement when you manipulate the trigger. It's just really, really wonderful. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Stand by and I'll talk about baseline shadows versus the shadow custom and kind of what's different about those.